Hey, yes, look, say hi. Oh, yes. Good morning. What day is it? Good question, huh? Monday morning. Yes. And yes, we are out walking. So, yesterday, was it yesterday? Was it the day before? All these days, they blend together so beautifully, don't they? Anyway, another glorious, glorious day. Yesterday, or the day before, I put up a short little video where I suggested that you ask your higher self, elevated level of consciousness, that greater aspect of you, for advice on what to do in this time, wonderful, exciting, complicated time that we find ourselves in these days. And then asked you the second question, which was, when are you going to start implementing that device? So somebody asked me in response to that video, how do I get in touch with that higher self? Well, that's a very good question. The first thing that has to happen, of course, is that you have to believe that that higher self exists, that there is a more elevated consciousness, your consciousness, not an external, not something that is outside of you, not some whatever name you want to give it, existence of an entity that is beyond you, wiser than you, more compassionate, more understanding than you, but you yourself, the greater aspect of you. You have to believe in that. Okay, that's the first step. You have to believe. Okay, and I know lots of people do not. They think that this ego identity that is currently walking around on planet Earth is the entirety of your being, right? And, you know, if that's the case, there's nothing I can do to dissuade you of that, but that's okay. Your choice. Anyway, first you have to believe that there is that elevated, higher aspect of yourself that exists. Then you have to believe that it is possible for you to communicate with that higher aspect of yourself. Okay. So you need to have those two beliefs before you can even go about deciding that you're going to be able to ask for and receive advice from that higher aspect of yourself. Okay. Now the question then becomes, how can I best interact with that higher aspect of myself? And look at who I have coming down the path here. This beautiful feminine presence. Good morning. How are you today? Good. Busy shooting video for Facebook. Enjoy your walk. Isn't he gorgeous?
Yes.
Jasper, go back and say hi. Come here. Hey, go back and say hi. Go on.
Hi. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, he does love his walks.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Nice blue eyes, by the way. Anyway, where were we? How to connect with that higher self, right? All right. Multiple ways. Meditation, of course, is, you know, the old kind of tried, proven way for people to gain access to elevated levels of consciousness, whether their own or some sort of universal consciousness or aspect of divinity or whatever people want to call it, right? It's up to them. I don't care what you call anything. Labels are just labels. Anyway, how do you connect? Okay, one way would be to, besides meditation, one would be to come out into Mother Nature and imagine that, which is true, that you are an integral part of Mother Nature. I mean, you cannot separate your life form from the planet itself. I don't mean by going off into space. I mean that you are integral. Your life is dependent upon Mother Nature, right? That you arise out of Mother Nature. And that, I breathe the air of this planet. I walk around in the sunshine. I eat the foods of this planet, right? My nutrition, my well-being, everything comes from existing within this planet. So I am part and parcel of this planet. So I could create this visualization in my mind that the planet itself is alive and aware, and in the sense that I am able to walk around, participate consciously, speak about, think about, imagine all kinds of weird stuff about being alive on planet Earth, about what my potential is, kind of means that I am a vocal, and sometimes very vocal, aspect of Mother Nature, right? That here I am. Unlike these corn plants who are stuck in their existence and doing what they're doing to produce kernels of corn, unlike them, I can talk and I can walk, and I can even do it at the same time. I might even be able to walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. Amazing. Anyway, I could utilize that understanding to say that I'm going to use Mother Nature as my sounding board, as that higher aspect of myself, because obviously Mother Nature that produces all of this stuff that we get to look at all the time, right? All those clouds up there, all these trees, these corn plants. Jasper himself. Jasper, where'd you go, buddy? Come here. Yeah, there you are. He was running around in the corn. Mother Nature has more creative power in and of herself than I do, right? Because she creates all this. So I could enter into a conversation with Mother Nature, imagining that she is a way for me to metaphoricize, allegorize, imagine my higher self. So I could walk out into the forest, have a conversation with the forest, and ask the forest for advice, okay? Now, of course, many of you will think that's some sort of weird fantasy, right? First of all, why would you talk to the trees? They might lock you up in some place that puts you in a straitjacket. But how could you possibly imagine that the forest is going to talk back to you, right? All right. Anyway, you could do that. I do that. I'll tell you that. So don't come for me with your straitjackets, please. I'm still going to talk to my forest, even if it's just in my imagination. All right, so we're getting through the cornfield, and isn't the corn getting high? Look at how high it is, eh? Right, look at how high. Way up there. Right, how high is that? Way up there. Can't reach the top even. Beautiful stuff, even though it's, no doubt, GMO cattle feed. Yeah, anyway. Once upon a time there was natural corn. Anyway, so I could walk out into the forest. I'm rambling. Aren't I rambling? I always ramble, right? I hope you enjoy the fact that I ramble. And this is not some scripted video. It's just me walking in the woods with Jasper, talking to you about things that I'm thinking about. Okay, so here we are, out of the cornfield, back into the forest. So I could stop here in the forest, and let's pick on this little guy right here. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Can you see that? There are 1, 2, 3, 4 roots, branches of this tree coming up into the world, right? Look at that. Bark. Yum, yum. All right. So here we are in this tree. And I could sit here and I could slow myself down and I could pay attention instead of talking to you. So obviously I can't do it now. So I could stop, I could put my hand on this tree, and I could have a conversation with this tree. I could slow myself down and feel the tree. And I could say to the tree, What should I do? This is what's going on with me right now. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. And I've been going through this process. I'm not quite sure about how to respond to it. I'm not quite sure what really, really, you know, would be best for me to do in this moment. What do you think? And ask the tree. Okay? Now, you might say that the tree is not my higher self. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You don't know that, do you? You just think what you think. You don't know the truth of it. You just imagine that you know the nature of reality. But let's pretend that I am imagining that this tree is representative of, a symbol maybe even, of my higher self. And I ask this tree for advice, right? And if I'm listening, I can hear, literally, I can hear what the tree says to me. If I get still enough, if I get Leslie's little ego out of the way, and I slow my mind down enough so that I stop, saying to myself, this is nonsense, you can't talk to a tree, and a tree can't answer you back, and all that stuff that the mind's going to do to interfere in the conversation I want to have with my higher self. And I listen, the tree's going to answer me, okay? And the tree's going to say to me whatever it's going to say to me. And it's going to be personal. And whether or not I want to, mosquito, believe in that message, or respond to that message, or take it under consideration, right? Instead of it being like the law being announced from above, this is what you have to do, take it into consideration, whatever. But I can accept that message, okay? So that's one way to do it, is to just treat Mother Nature as being that aspect of you, that higher self, right? You could do that. Another thing that I do, and here I'm, revealing myself to you in big ways. So I talk to trees, I talk to the forest, I talk to Mother Nature, I talk to Mother Earth all the time, right? In fact, the very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I give thanks to Mother Earth for this first breath I am conscious of breathing in the morning. That is my habit, right? Okay. The other thing that I do, and I typically do it just before sunset, so I can gaze at the sun without burning my eyes, burning my eyes irreparably. But at that time of the day, it's possible to sun gaze. It's just to stand, usually, out and look at the setting sun, directly at the setting sun, and open myself up to the radiance that is emitting nonstop from that sun. And imagine that I am opening myself up to a higher aspect of myself and giving myself permission to receive whatever information is available for me to receive through my limited intellect, right? Leslie's limited intellect, Leslie's little made-up fantasy about how important he is or who he is or what his role is on this planet. Receive, despite all that, put all that aside, and receive a message, integral, that is being broadcast by the sun. That it included in that array of radiation that's being emitted is actual information that I can listen to, okay? And I've been doing that for a long, long time. When I was a teenager, a young teenager, I imagined that Beethoven's symphonies, he composed those because he was able to hear the sunlight, right? I don't know how that idea came to me, but one day, listening to Beethoven, it occurred to me that Beethoven had written down what he was listening to, the sunlight. He was listening to the sunlight. Anyway, that inspired me to see what I could hear in the sunlight. Now, I don't compose any symphonies, and I certainly don't have the genius of Beethoven, but I do imagine that I can listen to messages from the sun, right? Okay, so there's that. And then there's the cosmos as a whole, right? I mean, that grand universe with its trillions and trillions of galaxies, with each containing trillions and trillions of stars. Holy crap, right? Beyond, like, it's so massively grand from the macroscopic of, the swirling galaxies, trillions of them out there, to the microscopic quantum worlds, the majesty, the miracle of that whole creation is so enormous. It's so majestic. It's so miraculous. And the fact that it is here for me to participate in, to observe, to marvel at, to participate in, is like just beyond fucking amazing. It's a true miracle. Anyway, so I can imagine myself as being an integral part of the universe, right? I am the universe observing itself. I look up at the night sky when I see the stars. I am literally the universe looking at itself, right? That's me. And as a consequence of that, I can ask the universe for advice. Okay, try it. Okay, it's weird, isn't it? Some of you are going to think this is really, really weird. Others are going to say, Leslie's a weird guy, but maybe he's got something to say that can be useful to me. Okay. And then, of course, you can imagine that there is a creative force behind all creation, and you can open yourself up to that and accept or admit to yourself that your little bit of ego-centered self-awareness is contained within and happens because of that grand consciousness, and that you can access a higher aspect of yourself by imagining yourself being fully, truly, holistically a part of that universal consciousness. And as a consequence of that, because you are intimately connected to, immersed within, and are immeasurably connected to that universal consciousness, that you can ask it for advice. And I don't mean in the old religious sense necessarily. You can do it if you wish. In the old religious sense of getting down on your knees and praying to your God, whatever you conceptualize him to be, asking for benevolence and blessings and or advice, whatever. I don't mean that. I mean just standing in awareness of your own existence within a universal consciousness and saying to yourself, okay, let's imagine that it's possible for me to have some aspect of me that's capable of communicating with that universal consciousness. And I'm going to be open to that, right? And I'm going to be open to receiving that channel of communication and thereby accessing my higher sense of self, okay, that exists. That's 3 ways that I do it. And the 4th, of course, is just the typical meditation kind of stuff. So there's 4 ways for you, all right? Do it however you want to do it, right? However you want to do it. But really, truly, I think it's becoming really clear to us in these days, and I mean, it's becoming really clear to us in these days, that there is something critical going on around us. And that criticality, this kind of noise and confusion that's going on out in the world, the big whatever that's going on out there that is causing so many people to retreat into fear, and then it's causing a whole bunch of other people to look at the stuff that's out there in a way that's going like, holy crap, I don't believe all the shit that's going down. All right, all of that kind of stuff is bringing us to a level of not awareness, a level of realization, where we have to say, okay, I have to make a choice. I have to make a choice in this moment to look at the possible futures that are available to me and to all of us as humans, and to choose from amongst those possibilities, which means that I get to be conceptualizing a creative path forward. And what is that path going to look like? And how can I best design that path into the future? And I think the best way to design that path into the future is to connect with that higher vibrational aspect of ourselves. You know, some people have different language to describe that. They say we're moving from 3D into 5D reality and all of that kind of stuff, or that are, the whole spiritual vibrational aspect of this earth is transitioning upwards. There's all kinds of stuff out there about, what the process is that we're going through right now. And, whatever language appeals to you. That's okay with me. But first of all, I think it's becoming clear to all of us that are paying attention, right? And not caught up in the fear of porn and all of that noise and confusion, and allowing that to overwhelm our ability to be self-reflective. That in order to design that great path forward, we have to connect to that higher aspect of ourselves and being willing to see where that higher aspect of ourselves advises us to go, advises us choices to make that we need to make right now, the things that we need to be thinking about, the things that we need to be speaking about, the places that we envision that we could move towards, right? And then to do things out in this world, because we have to walk, we have to speak, we have to talk, we have to act upon the world, right? Then to do those things that are going to move us progressively towards that vision that has been provided to you by your higher self. So, you know, what questions do you ask? What kind of future do you want to create, right? That's essentially it. Is like, you know, recognizing that you are responsible for creating the future path that you're going to walk about, just as Jasper and I chose this path, right? That we're walking through the forest on, right? Okay? So ask the questions, listen for the answers, and then go out into the world and do something wonderful, uplifting for your fellow human beings that works towards manifesting that glorious future that really, truly every single loving human being on this planet wants, and that is peace, prosperity, and opportunities for each and every one of us, not just now, but for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and all future generations. Okay, so go do it. Love you all. Jasper and I are going to continue our walk. Ciao for now.